Have you ever stopped to think why some people can remember everything they study, while others forget almost everything within hours? Why one person reads a page once and recalls it days later, while another rereads the same paragraph 5 times and still feels lost? It's not intelligence, it's not talent, and it's definitely not luck. There's something else happening behind the scenes, something invisible. A system. A pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because the truth is simple, but almost nobody talks about it. You were never taught how to remember. You were only taught how to consume information. And that's exactly why you forget. Right now, your brain is constantly deleting information. Every second, every minute. It filters what matters and throws away what doesn't. And here's the problem. Most of what you try to memorize looks completely useless to your brain. Think about it. Why would your brain keep something it doesn't believe you'll ever use? It won't. It simply won't. That's why cramming doesn't work. That's why rereading is a trap. And that's why most people feel like they have a bad memory. But they don't. They just don't understand the rules of the game. And today, you're going to learn those rules. Let me ask you something. Do you remember a random conversation you had 3 weeks ago? Probably not. But do you remember an embarrassing moment from years ago? Instantly, right? That's not a coincidence. Your brain doesn't prioritize information based on importance. It prioritizes based on emotion. Intensity, meaning the stronger the emotional signal, the stronger the memory. And that leads to the first secret. If you want to remember something forever, you need to make it impossible for your brain to ignore it. You need to give it weight. You need to give it impact. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people try to memorize by repeating information over and over again. But repetition without meaning is weak, it's fragile. It fades fast. The real power comes from association. When you connect new information to something you already know, your brain locks it in faster, stronger, deeper. It's like building a bridge between the unknown and the familiar. And suddenly, that information has a place to live. That's why stories are so powerful. That's why metaphors work. And that's why people who use this method feel like they have a super memory. But wait, there's something even more powerful. Something that changes everything. Active recall. This is where most people fail. They read, they highlight, they feel productive, but they never test themselves. And that's a mistake, because memory is not built by input. It's built by retrieval. Every time you force your brain to pull information out, you strengthen that memory, you reinforce it. You make it permanent. That's why simply closing a book and trying to remember what you just read is more powerful than reading it 10 times. Now imagine combining this with spacing, not studying everything at once, but revisiting it at the right intervals. This is called spaced repetition, and it's used by top performers, language learners, medical students, people who literally need to remember massive amounts of information. They don't rely on willpower. They rely on timing. They review information just before they're about to forget it. And that tiny moment, that edge, is where memory becomes permanent. It's not about studying more, it's about studying smarter. But here's a question almost nobody asks. Why do we forget in the first place? The answer is simple. Your brain is efficient. Brutally efficient. It removes anything it considers irrelevant. So if you want to remember something forever, you need to convince your brain that it matters, that it has value, that it will be used. And there's a powerful way to do this. Teach it, explain it, share it. Because the moment you try to teach something, your brain shifts. It goes from passive to active, from consumer to creator. And that changes everything. Let me show you something most people overlook. The environment you study in affects your memory more than you think. If you're distracted, your brain is divided. And divided attention creates weak memories. But when you're fully focused, when you remove distractions, your brain encodes information at a deeper level. That's why a single hour of focused study can outperform 5 hours of distracted effort. It's not about time. It's about intensity, presence, depth. And once you understand this, you stop wasting energy. Now here's where things get even more powerful. Visualization. Your brain loves images. It processes them faster than words and remembers them longer. So when you turn information into mental pictures, vivid, exaggerated, almost ridiculous images, you create memories that stick. Think about it. You might forget a list of words, but you won't forget a bizarre mental scene. That's why memory champions use this technique. They don't have better brains. They just use better strategies. And there's one more layer to this: identity. If you see yourself as someone with a bad memory, your brain will follow that script. But if you start seeing yourself as someone who learns fast, remembers deeply, and applies knowledge, everything changes, because your actions align with your identity, and your identity shapes your results. This isn't motivation. This is psychology. Real, proven, powerful psychology. So let's break it down. If you want to memorize anything and keep it forever, you need to do 5 things. First, attach emotion or meaning to what you learn. Second, create strong associations with what you already know. Third, use active recall instead of passive review. Fourth, apply spaced repetition to reinforce memory over time. And fifth, visualize information in a way your brain can't ignore. That's the formula. Simple, but incredibly powerful. Now think about this. What would change in your life if you could remember everything you study? Exams, skills, conversations, opportunities. Everything becomes easier, faster, more efficient. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop feeling behind, and you start building real confidence. Not fake confidence, real confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you can rely on your own mind. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. This isn't about memory. It's about control. Control over your learning, your growth, your future. Because the person who learns faster adapts faster. And the person who adapts faster wins in every area of life. So now the question is, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to keep doing what doesn't work? Or are you going to apply what you just learned and change the way your brain works, starting today? Because the difference between forgetting everything and remembering for life is just a few decisions away.